So let's just get a really basic service call into the system. We get in a call from a customer that doesn't have a contract and we want to get them some emergency assistance. We create the service call and we need to find their details to drop them in to the service calls screen. And we're going to just record very basic information such as maybe a little detail on the malfunction itself. We can put much more detail into the details of malfunction screen, but at this point I just want to get the contract, the call up and running. So there is a direct activation from the service call screen that will open the technician calendar. So as you can see from the screen, we have a bit of an issue because we can't actually get any engineers to site this morning. However, I'm well aware that this particular call can be done later. So I can drag it to a later time and leave it to be dealt with later. And then I can add a task into the calendar, and the system knows it's offering me 1:30 because of where I actually set this. But if we say that we're going to go between 9 and 2:30, then it has scheduled the call to the technician. As well as rescheduling by drag and drop, another option is to click on any of the service calls and zooming, and that'll actually take you directly into the service call from which the scheduled task has been raised. And in that case, you can go into the scheduling tab and edit any of the information there as well. One final point about the technicians' calendars is that any of these calls can have their colors set. The colors can be set via a logic, but in this case I'm just going to set the color manually. You will determine what your colors mean. It might be the type of work that's being done, it might be the urgency, there could be a number of different pieces of logic that dictate colors. So let's actually look at a slightly more complex example where we have a part that is under service contract. So I want to go in and record that part under the service call. So as long as I record the details correctly of the serial number, it will bring in all of the contract details, customer details, all that kind of thing. It also creates default statuses because remember the terms of service are covered, so maybe we're assuming that we're not going to charge for labour and certain types of material. However, of course, there will be situations where you do want to override that, so you may well want to create a quotation. If you're going to create a quotation, you need to record what parts and labour you're actually expecting. So in this case, I'm just going to put in under the parts, the part that I'm expecting, let's keep it really simple, and the quantity of parts that we're expecting. And if we go to the labour side, same concept. Now, we may have different types of labour. In this data set, we've only got one type of labour, but you may well create different labour types for the different types of engineer that you have, technicians. But in this case, the important thing is to record the quantity of hours that we're expecting this to take. And that's the basis of getting the numbers together in order to create the quotation. Once we're happy with the labour and the parts that have been included in the quotation, we can go back to the top level and prepare a service quote. And that will actually create all the information. We can send it through automatically to email, print it, display it. If we're going to send it automatically to mail, we may well also attach a standard format or whatever number of different formats we have, we can select from with a PDF attached, and that will actually create the quote itself. So as you can see, we've created the mail, and attached to it is the PDF of the quote that we've just created. One other point about scheduling: if we create a service call, you'll see that depending on what zone the customer belongs to and or which part family you're actually going to repair, then the system will auto schedule a service call to an engineer. So you'll see that because Acme Inc. belongs to the Eastern Zone, it's been assigned to the technician JD automatically. When I put in a part, it could reassign to a different technician depending on the logic of how I want to do the allocation. You can always override that default allocation anyway.